Children of all ages, all the crypto nerds out there in the crypto nerd land. Guess what? You know who I am. I'm the real Monty Allen, and I am your crypto nerd.
And I'm Cooper Daniels from the Recoup, and welcome back to AlgoFest 2021.
Boom.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Here we are. So we're with Alex from Algodex. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm all right. So we just are starting every interview with tell us a little bit about, yourself and the project, Algodex.
Great. So my name is Alexander Trifonis. I've been working on Algodex since April. It's been flying along, making phenomenal progress. Algodex is one of the very first decentralized exchanges on Algorand, and it's also quite unique from a global perspective because it's one of only, I think, 2 fully decentralized limit order exchanges in the whole world. So I've been trying to roll this out, working day and night, all weekends, all my time working on this since April. Basically, we just released on testnet. It's been phenomenal. We've had thousands of trades, more occurring every day. There were a few kinks we had to sort out with scaling, but we sorted out the worst of it and have a full solution soon. But there's been much less downtime now, just lots of good trading. The charts are working better. We've been iterating on it since the testnet release.
I love LAMP.
Yeah.
I've been trading some LAMP.
Yeah, so LAMP, I just needed when I started the project, I'm just like, okay, what am I going to name my token? I just looked around my room like, okay, I'll name it LAMP. I didn't even think anybody else would ever know about it. But I just kind of hard-coded it into my test code. And I've just been trading around, testing the smart contracts for literally months. And then people started noticing it in videos. So they're like, oh, what's LAMP? I want some LAMP. And they started pulling up some joke from Steve Carell or something, with LAMP, I love LAMP.
Yeah. It's a Anchorman or something, I think is what it was, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Anchorman.
for sure.
So
I have a stupid question. I think it's a pretty stupid question. But so with a decentralized limit order exchange, how exactly does liquidity work in that?
Yeah, so liquidity basically is just going to be all the all the buy orders on the exchange provide liquidity, and then all the sell orders. So then the more narrow the spread gets and how deep the order book is provides liquidity.
Got it.
Easy peasy.
Cool.
So before we get too much further here, I kind of want to address the shakeup that you folks had personnel-wise at Algodex, and it's probably not a super comfortable conversation, but it was sort of public, and so we want to get it out there and figure out what's going on to move forward. So, can you shed a little light on that? What's the plan moving forward?
Sure. So there's some disagreements in the team, and some people ended up leaving. I don't want to get into a lot of details, but we've rehired people. We have a front-end engineer, back-end engineer, hiring another person, looking into getting a designer soon. There's so many people interested in the project. People are just waiting to jump on board. The new engineers have already made phenomenal progress. We pushed multiple UI fixes. The back-end engineer has been working on it literally full-time, effectively, because he doesn't have a day job. So he's just been looking at all my code, giving me opinions for optimization. So he's helped a lot with caching fixes and stuff. So we're racing forwards. It's not how do we move forwards? Every day, we're making more progress on it. We're probably going to roll the whole thing out with tokenization by Q4 at the earliest, or Q1 next year. As soon as we think it's secure. So the software is all working in terms of testnet. It's just a matter of getting the tokenization done, ensuring security, raising some funds, paying for the audit, finishing that up, paying for some legal entities. So they're almost a done deal. So from my personal perspective, it's a very, very low risk project at this point. And I'm just extremely optimistic about it. Every day I wake up excited to work on it more because I can see how good it's getting. There's literally thousands of people trading on it. So it's just super exciting to me. It's been exciting the whole time. I always I've been pushing this project forwards every single day. It's just every day it gets better and better. It just moves closer and closer to the goal.
That's awesome. So before, real briefly before we started, you were talking about some things that were keeping you up at night in the good way, and you were excited about. Did you want to share any of that?
Yeah. So when I was telling you, I thought I was already live because I thought I just joined and it was already some live session.
Oh, okay, good.
So that's why I was going into it. But it was good practice. Basically, the current plan. This isn't set in stone yet, but we're going to basically have, for every single trading pair, we're going to have rewards pools and staking pools. So people can stake, they can stake the Algodex token. So we're going to have an exchange token, which will also be a future DAO token. People can stake those in the staking pool per trading pair. And they can also optionally stake the coin that they're trading. And then basically there's going to be a rewards pool. In that rewards pool, there can be algos, there can be the Algodex token, or there can be the token that's being traded for that trading pair. Now, basically, the rewards pool then pay out at some percentage rate to all the people staking for that trading pair. And additionally, there's going to be one type of fee at first, which is a cancellation fee. So anybody who cancels an order will have a fee that goes into the rewards pool, and then that gets dispersed to all the people staking. Also, anyone can optionally fund the rewards pool, and this gives a way for someone who creates a new token to incentivize people to trade on it and want to own it by filling up that rewards pool with tons of algos or Algodex tokens or their own token. And they can say, oh, come to this link, just stake on it. You'll get this token for free just by staking. That'll be a big incentive to kind of drive people to make new standard assets. Also, the more tokens that are staked in either pool, the higher rank your token will be as a trading pair, and it'll drive up the rank on Algodex. So if you somehow put 1 million algos into your token or something, that could drive up your token to be like, say, rank 1 to 5 compared to all the other tokens, and everybody will see it on Algodex, and it's like free marketing for your token. Or you could market anything. You can make an EA say, put some link on it, just stake a ton of algos in it, and then it'll basically be boosted, almost like a promotional sort of thing. But you can promote anything that way. So it's a kind of cool dynamic, I think.
Some nerd ASAs coming in the future.
Yeah. So you can also, so it'll be interesting where that goes. In the future, we'll additionally likely add some kind of trading fees, although the DAO will determine the level of fees that will be enacted. In the future, there's going to be a DAO voting system linked to the exchange. We're already in discussions of how to plan the governance. So basically, we're deciding between a democratic model or like more of like a republic model where the voters would vote for candidates, and then those candidates would then vote on policy. Yeah, like a delegated way instead of a pure democracy, because I think a pure democracy is a little risky. Because nobody knows who's voting, and some jerk can come in and just vote for something stupid and then quickly sell all their money or something. Like, who knows? So we're trying to think of the best way. I was also thinking maybe the only people who can vote are people who stake their tokens for a certain amount of time in some kind of pool or something like that. Then also down the road, additionally, there's going to be a way so that in the bid-ask spread, basically, when I don't know, this might be a little too complicated for this video, but basically you submit a proof of the spread to the blockchain to prevent cheating, and then the closer your buy or sell order is to the spot price, the higher rewards rate you get, because you want to be incentivized to provide liquidity near the spot price.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah. So we're gonna move there. Yeah, we're gonna move there in the future. That's a more complicated sort of scheme. We don't want to delay the mainnet release. And I think the rewards pools alone and the staking pools will already provide a lot of value and provide a useful way for the token to exist. The token obviously will also be the voting token. So even if it wasn't linked into the exchange directly, it would still have a lot of power just in terms of being able to vote for the future direction.
Okay. Yeah. How long have you been in testnet now? 2 weeks?
That's a good question. No, just like 5 or 6 days.
5 or 6 days? Okay. And I know you must have learned some valuable stuff. The other day we crashed it, and every time there's a crash, right, you got to learn some stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I figured out there. I mean, it's funny because the caching system's actually pretty good for most cases, but there's like two different SQL queries. And what I learned is that ideally the client, like your web browser, so the client is like your web browser, right? If your web browser causes a SQL query to execute, and that SQL query takes 1 or 2 seconds because it's not optimized, if 500 people do that at the same time, which is what we've seen, it'll literally cause the SQL server to like kind of hang because there's too many threads going into it. So the solution is just use Redis for all requests from the client and only have workers on the backend servers do any kind of database interaction when they have to. So basically you have the workers do the caching. This might be getting too technical.
You just got to redistribute the workload.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get too technical. It'll probably bore people or something.
Yeah. We lost 2 viewers. Sorry.
Yeah. So. Sorry about that.
They came back. So, I mean, what kind of time frame are we looking at for mainnet though? I think you were getting
that's a great question. It's probably Q4 at the very earliest. We have a team that's like rolling ahead with things fantastically. We're probably going to hire some more people and try to kick everything into gear. It depends on how fast the funding will happen because we do need to raise money in order to pay for the legal structuring and so on. Also, if things take some extra time, the technical side is going to get 100% done, pretty soon. And from like a viewpoint of raising money, it's gonna be like dead obvious. Like literally, it's just we get money and then the exchange gets released. Investors get a massive upside. So the closer we get to that point, the easier and easier it'll be to raise money. Plus, from our perspective, we can increase the valuation, get better deals with investors if there is a delay. So either scenario is acceptable by me. We don't have to raise money to finish the exchange. We made all this progress with like almost no money raised. I do have an Algorand Foundation grant, which I'm extremely thankful for, but that's not enough money to pay people to do things full time, with American salaries and so on. So, and basically, progress is going to move along very smoothly. A lot of people will be surprised at the speed. I have a very high level, very high amount of technical knowledge at this point and business side knowledge of how to move this whole thing forward and get it deployed. So that's really my goal here.
It's funny. You wouldn't think that raising money actually is like a full-time job, but you need enough money to pay the guy to go get the money. it's kind of a weird
I know it's hard. Well, it's annoying too because the more time I spend raising money, the less I can focus on the technical side. And it's hard to be efficient raising money because the only way people ever invest in you is if they're very comfortable with it, which requires a lot of time talking to people. It's like a relationship, you know, like you can't just convince someone to date you or something like that. You have to spend a lot of time with them. And then the more time I do that, the less time I can do something technical. So I'm actually started working with some advisors who I don't want to make their name public, but they'll help quite a lot on the fundraising side. So I can focus more on the technical side.
Okay, good.
What do we have here? We have somebody, have you run stress load tests? Do you have any?
So the users are the stress and load test. So I don't have time to do all that on myself because I want to get it released. So we're offloading that responsibility to the users. So basically they're breaking everything and then I see what to fix rather than spending weeks doing it myself where I might not even catch real world conditions. Because like, what's the big deal? It's literally test net, like it's meant to break. Just let people break it and we'll fix it. People will be patient. It's not embarrassing. So that's how I see it anyways, because the goal here is to get it released, get it tokenized, and that's it. Either it's like a Boolean, either the exchange is going to be done and tokenized and people are going to use it or not. So it's just getting that point as fast as possible while ensuring security and reliability and that sort of thing.
Somebody just called you Algo Kobe, dude. You just got an upgrade.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I hope it's a good thing.
I think it was a good thing. I think it was the single-mindedness, the success factor, which is what we're going for. So I mean, we've got a little bit of the future kind of laid out for you. What do you see, Algodex looking like in I don't know, 2 years time? Is everything fully functional, or is there never going to be a time where you're like, oh, yep, we're done? Is it just always going to be evolving?
It's going to constantly be evolving. It's never going to be completely done. It's just going to grow and grow and grow. And it'll have lots of ways for other DeFi applications to integrate into it. It's going to be globally spanning in every language. It's going to be also replicated in parallel eventually. At first, it will be centralized for simplicity, but eventually there's going to be ways that can be replicated out. Like on a protocol level, it already can be because it's 100% decentralized. So you can literally run the exchange on 1,000 different servers simultaneously, and anybody can connect to any one of those websites and use the exact same exchange with the same trades going through, because all the data is from the blockchain. The data is not like the servers are literally just a cache of the blockchain, just like the Algorand blockchain indexer. So it's just a very sophisticated cache specific to our application. So.
Will KYC play into Algodex? Is that something?
So the way, yes, it will play into it. However, what we're thinking of doing is, so the exchange is not going to be hosted out of my bedroom on mainnet, although the testnet one is, but the mainnet one is okay. To be clear, the testnet one's hosted on AWS, but it's just an account I have. But the mainnet one is going to be hosted from another country internationally that has different laws than the US, and we're going to arrange it so that I'm not the founding team and the developers in the US are not operating the exchange. We're purely working on the software. There's absolutely no laws saying you can't make financial software. All the laws are about operating an exchange. So we're going to have foreign operators operating it. I'm not going to have any authority over their operation and so on. So I'm going to be very abstracted away from it as much as possible. And as such, KYC will be...
The tech company is going to be here.
Yeah. So the development company is going to be here, and we're basically contractors for the international company that actually operates the exchange. And then in terms of KYC, it's going to be like Uniswap. There's not going to be KYC at first, but there might be optional KYC later if you are like a market maker or something like that, and you want to do, and let's say you're from the US and you're highly, everyone, all the authorities know about you. You want to do KYC, so basically you'll have an opt-in for KYC, and then you can trade with other people who are KYC'd, and then this will allow people to legally trade security tokens and stuff like that back and forth.
Got it.
All right.
Cool.
We got a list of questions. I suppose we should ask some of them. And props out to the Algonauts, the Discord team that Algonauts put all this together. So Andrew, I think he was on earlier. He hopped on, then he hopped off. But props out to the Algonauts because they put this whole thing together. It's been a long day, but it's been a ton of fun. And we get to talk to cool people like you, Alex, and ask some really interesting questions. So let's ask a couple of these here. So question number one, when can we expect Python and JavaScript SDK from you?
So that's a great question. We have to think about the best way to, if we're going to do an SDK or if there's going to be an API where instead of something that runs on your personal computer, we have a web server, and then basically that you pass it something and it passes you back like an unsigned transaction, which then you sign on your own computer. We have to make decisions like that. We have to decide what's going to be open source, what's not going to be open source, what's the timeline to eventually open sourcing everything, because we do want to protect the financial interests of the people who worked on the project and not just make something purely for charity. As much as I love the idea, I actually don't have a real income right now other than, by hopeful future of this project. So, we have to think about all those different parts of it.
Sure. Okay.
I'm sorry, were you going to follow up on that?
No, go ahead.
No. Is the Algodex NFT Marketplace still in the works?
So it's in the long-term plan, but basically the investors convinced me that I should not try to do multiple startup types of things at the same time because nobody successful at a startup does that. I still think it would have been possible for me to somehow finagle that and get everything done at the same time. But there's basically a benefit to just hyper focusing on one project, getting that project as perfect as possible and done as fast as possible. And then after Algodex is at a certain state, we'll then expand it to have more NFT marketplace like features. You can already trade NFTs on Algodex perfectly fine. It's just you won't see like the JPEG yet. Although we might do that inside Algodex as soon as there's a framework, like a common, way that we could pull in all the metadata and stuff like that into Algodex. So you might even not need the NFT Marketplace. And what's really funny is that people have actually been doing testnet auctions in Algodex. So people have been placing like, buy orders, which is their bids in the auction. And then 24 hours later, the person who's doing the auction will come in and just sell the NFT, this testnet NFT, to the top bid. But then they take it to a different level. They basically, whoever wins the auction in testnet gets the actual NFT in mainnet. So they're kind of like,
oh, that's cool. So
they're kind of like abusing the system a little bit, because it's not supposed to, like, this testnet platform, it's not supposed to be for trading on mainnet, but there have been like some kind of things going on like that. It's funny. It's quite funny, actually. So the first NFT sold for like 1,400 testnet algos, which is the equivalent of someone pushing that like wallet dispenser button like 140 times.
There was real effort in there.
Yeah.
All right, we got another question here. Are you using Teal 3 or Teal 4, and would you need to rewrite anything for the looming Teal 5?
So we're using Teal 4 mainly with some older elements of Teal 2 and Teal 3, because Algorand's moving really fast. They keep coming out with stuff. It's hard to keep up, but fortunately, it is all backwards compatible. In the beginning of the Teal source code, you can actually put the version number, and that's basically the code, the Teal version that you can use. So if you're not ready to upgrade to the latest Teal, you can use an older Teal if you want to. So if but generally it's better to upgrade, because there's, they keep coming out with more and more enhancements.
Yeah, it's step by step and pretty rapid fire, right?
Yeah.
It seems like just Teal 4 was just a thing. All of a sudden we're all right. Teal 5 already. Shoot.
Yeah, I love Teal 4. So I don't know it's in Teal 5 yet. I haven't looked yet, but Teal 4 is great because you can do loops. So you can, if there's something specific you want to check in every single transaction, you can put a loop at the very beginning of your smart contract and just check for this characteristic of all the transactions and make sure that it's the way you expect it, and then you don't have to duplicate your code as much.
Dropping knowledge bombs over here.
Yeah.
Right.
So you said at the beginning that Algodex will be one of only a few limit order decentralized exchanges. What are examples of other ones?
I think Serum on Solana has one. Serum Swap is maybe what it's called. So they have a limit order exchange. I think it's fully decentralized. I think it's all on Solana, but I haven't personally used it. I just looked at it a bit. Right. So that's like one other, the blockchains have differences. Algorand has, quite a lot of strengths in some other areas that they don't have. Like Algorand can't be forked, and it has higher security. And participation nodes in Algorand don't need to run on as expensive hardware as Solana.
Right. What do we got? We got outside of the Algorand technology stack. What is the technology stack? The database?
Okay, fantastic question. So we use a number of things. Basically, the front end uses, obviously the basic ones are HTML, CSS, JavaScript. JavaScript interacts with the Algorand SDK. We use React, Next.js, and then a bunch of JavaScript like plugins or like node modules and stuff. And then on the back end, we use quite a lot of PHP. We use Go. We use MySQL. We use Redis, and then we use containers that basically host the services on basically AWS. I think they're calling it like Elastic Container Service or something. It's ECS on AWS, and then a bunch of just AWS related things. So, and then also Go for one of the services, Golang.
Alfio has been with us most of the day, and super solid questions too. And maybe that means something to you, ECS.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Right, that's what it is. That's basically. So I could talk a bit more about this. So Algodex actually, like, if it was open source right now, people could literally exchange from their computer, and you could run all the services on your computer in a Docker with just one command. You can boot it up like today and do that if it was open source. I don't want to make it open source at this point for reasons I explained earlier, but we might do this in the future. So basically everyone could run it from their desktop and literally trade with each other, have the whole, like that whole website, that you see at testnet.algodex.com, literally see that in your browser hosted from yourself, and then trade decentralized with other people. So, and that's what I'm trying to get to is this part of ECS. So ECS lets you host this exact same type of Docker setup in the cloud, so that everybody can use it with good latency and stuff like that, hosted on Amazon servers. And then it has like things like auto scaling. So if there's too much load, it'll automatically scale up and create more containers. Of course, costing the host a lot more money to pay for all these servers, but that's a different topic.
All right. Well, let's talk about the overall ecosystem. So we've got a question here. It says, what's needed from the ecosystem to deliver your full potential? Bridges, more DeFi tokens, other types of DEX, stable coins. What else do you need from the ecosystem to mature for your own success? Because we're all
probably
interdependent.
Well, for example, things that AlgoMint is doing is fantastic, like just wrapping tons of stuff. So if there were more platforms to just wrap anything, like any kind of contract or anything into Algorand, then all that becomes tradable on Algodex. And then there's a lot of types of lending that could eventually be tied into it, especially if we, probably the pools could be used for some sort of lending in the future. Covered call options are possible with Algodex, but this isn't something other people can provide. So in terms of what other people can provide, just more ecosystem projects in general, because basically after things become wrapped into Algorand, these wrapped assets can then be used in all the different DeFi applications of Algorand. So Algorand, although it's a highly, highly secure layer 1, it can effectively act as a layer 2 for other blockchains. Mm-hmm. So basically, like, let's say I have a bar of gold or something, I could bring it to someone who wraps it, like Meld does, or AlgoMint or whatever, and they can wrap it, issue a token, and then that token can be used in all the Algorand DeFi apps. So the more apps, the better, because all the apps amplify each other's value, and it's going to get to a breaking point where just Algorand can't be ignored anymore. People will see, they'll just see not only Algorand's strength as a layer 1 blockchain, but they'll see a thriving ecosystem that'll just blow everything else out of the water if once it reaches that point.
I think that's beautiful. So, like once we hit like a critical mass, right, there's going to be a point. And earlier today, we had a kind of a roundtable luncheon that was what's needed for mass adoption. But I didn't have anybody in there from kind of the DeFi space, really, or decentralized exchange space. So what from your standpoint, from someone who's knee deep in building a DEX right now, what do you think is needed for mass adoption?
I think they're basically just like I've been talking about. There needs to be an ecosystem of lots of applications that non-blockchain businesses can easily tie into. So if it's very easy for someone who's not an expert in the Algorand technology, not an expert in every little mechanism of the blockchain, but if they can start using the services of all these Algorand DeFi applications and then benefit off the entire ecosystem as a whole, that could bring an enormous amount of business, especially as Algorand is the best, or at least one of the best blockchains. I don't keep up with every little development everywhere else, but it's by far one of the leading blockchains. So as soon as there's just an ecosystem, tons of people can use it, the network effect could just amplify and amplify, and then it'll become, and then whenever someone's looking at different blockchains to use, they'll say, okay, am I going to use the technologically best one, or am I going to just use the biggest, most dominant one? And once we have the ecosystem, it just becomes a much more clearer choice to use Algorand, because there's much less of an argument to use competing blockchains, because if they both have an ecosystem, they soon run out of arguments about why they should use their blockchain over Algorand. Mm-hmm. Because you can't. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want you to finish.
Okay, just look at like the facts. Like on Algorand, like if you use Algodex, for example, it's literally 10,000 times cheaper than using Uniswap to do a trade. Plus, you get your money in 4 to 8 seconds. Well, if you use Uniswap, I believe you have to wait like tens of minutes, because that's just how Ethereum works. Even Ethereum 2.0 has settlement times of 14 minutes. which is just extremely long compared to Algorand. So, and it's less secure. Every other chain is forkable. Algorand's the only one that ensures a massive amount of security at a protocol computer science level. So it's like, in the long run, like just think 100 years from now, what are people going to use? Are they going to be stuck using all these second-rate blockchains, or will eventually everyone somehow gravitate to the best technology? So the way I see it is, eventually it could take 5 years, it could take 300 years, but people will figure it out what's the actually best technology to use. You know what I mean? It's either going to be Algorand or something very similar to it. Yeah. It has an extremely elegant and beautiful computer science model of the protocol itself, and that's what I love about it.
If they can do it, we can do it better.
Yeah,
dude, I was feeling a little like I was losing steam, and you're pumping me up right now.
I know Alex is full of energy, right?
Well, I get excited just talking about this stuff, and then I end up losing sleep over it sometimes, even. So I just am very. Yeah.
And you said you just started working on Algodex in April, right?
Yeah.
So, you're just moving extraordinarily fast.
Yeah. So in I think February, I started tweeting about Algorand. I had I had 200 followers since 2008. So all of them were dead followers. Anyways, I started tweeting about Algorand. I just put hashtag Algorand. I get one like, and then, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder, I was just thinking okay, is there something exponential here? So I just started playing around, making better tweets. I get 2 likes, 3 likes, etc. I'm like, okay,
you were still working a full-time job at that point in time.
Yeah, I know.
You had incredibly thoughtful tweets.
Yeah, I was trying to increase my influence, also, but I was trying to also promote Algorand just to see if I could have any effect on what people think is the best blockchain. So basically, I kept doing that kind of thing. And I just realized, okay, what's missing from Algorand? It's missing a DEX. I'm a very impatient type of person. And I was just thinking, okay, why isn't anybody else making a DEX quickly? What's wrong with everyone? Why are they so slow? I don't want to wait for them. I can't rely on everyone else to make one, so I'll just do it myself. So I just, I worked on a past side project before this where I'd wake up at 5 a.m. every day. I work on it for 4 hours. And I would do my full-time job, and I made quite a lot of progress very quickly. So I'm like, okay, I obviously know I can do it. So it's just a matter of I'm going to start doing it. I'm just going to start tweeting about it. I don't care if, it's embarrassing if people think I can't do it or whatnot. I'm just going to do it anyways. It's going to be a huge surprise to everyone after it's done. Nobody knew who I am. I'm not, I haven't been in Algorand since the beginning. I wasn't closely connected to all the big Algorand players, but I decided I'm just going to make this DEX. See what happens. It's going to exist. Nobody can stop me from making this. And, and sooner, people wanted to help me because they kind of saw how exciting of a project it is. So I was able to quickly recruit people who contributed quite a lot to the project. I'm extremely thankful for every way that they helped me. And, the future is very bright for it. So I'm just very happy with my project. Every day has literally been nonstop fun, even in the downtimes. It's still been fun. I have a very kind of odd perspective. I've been looking at startups from the side for about a decade, circling, looking for a good opportunity and just kind of understanding more and more about startups. So I knew startups can be extremely rocky. It's kind of like if you take a ship, let's say you take a little boat and you want to sail across the Atlantic, there might be a storm or two. And you're just mentally prepared for that. It's not a big deal. So, there have been huge uptimes. There have been some downsides, but, the project's still going to be done. There's nothing changing that. So I know firsthand where the trajectory is and where it's going to lead. So it's just extremely exciting because of that.
Personal
question
story here.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we'll get to these there. So my very first video on Algorand was March 21st. I literally I'm looking at the YouTube, the history now, right? So March 21st, I had gotten in maybe October before, and I'd just been, kind of lurking on the Twitter sphere, and I didn't have a whole lot of followers at that point in time either. But I felt compelled to make this video because there wasn't anything that was really strong, just kind of laid it out simply. And Alex was one of the very first people that I don't remember if you commented in YouTube or if you commented on my Twitter posting. I think I posted it on Twitter and you commented in the thread. And I was like, whoa, this guy watched it. and then
I think I remember that.
I saw your response and I was like, and he gets it. Holy crap. Like this might be something like, and so maybe our careers in the Algoverse kind of started about the same time. And, who knows, if you hadn't have made that like response back, maybe I would have been like, shit, nobody watches, maybe I would have thrown in the towel, but, in a strange way, maybe you're responsible for the crypto nerd as well. So there you go. Everything is
this. You're just
right.
Bringing a whole bunch to this ecosystem.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember when you were brand new too, and I was new at the time. And I like watching your video, and I think you had like some kind of presentation where you just went through everything about Algorand. Like,
I had like a top 10 video kind of a thing. Yeah. It was like a little PowerPoint or something.
Yeah.
I put together. Yep. All right, now we can ask the real. Yeah, I still got to work though. I wasn't able to quit my job yet and do this full time, but I'm working on it pretty soon.
Just quit anyways. It's just fun, if you have savings,
Right. All right.
Like what else are you going to do with your time? I mean, it depends on what you enjoy your job too.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm close. Stay tuned to the Crypto Nerd.
Are we gonna get a Crypto Nerd announcement?
We might get a Crypto Nerd announcement a little later here. All right. Questions though. So, which wallet will it integrate with? Algo Signer, or the official wallet, or what? I love.
So at first, it's only going to integrate with my Algo wallet. The reason is, well, first of all, we think it's a fantastic wallet. I've been using it for a while. It's just it has a ton of features. You can see all your transactions and so on. I personally know the people behind my Algo wallet. I've actually met up with them a few times in person. But anyways, we will eventually support every wallet. It's just more of a manpower thing where we can't do everything at the same time.
And then how about any plans for fiat on-ramp?
Fiat on-ramp. That's a great question. No current plans. Again, it's just we can't focus on everything. That also has quite a lot of regulatory things. And I'm not tied into that whole part of the universe of arranging for that sort of stuff. Because I don't come from like financial whatever background,
Yeah,
right.
That stuff gets incredibly complicated, and then you got to make sure you dot the I's and cross the T's because you don't want to mess that up. Talk to us about the team. I know you touched on it, at the beginning, at the top of the hour here, but I think you've got 6 folks now on the team.
Yeah, so we hired 2 new engineers. One's a back end, one's a front end. They've been phenomenal so far. The back end engineers helped me. I don't want to name names because I don't know if they want to be public or not. But back end guy, he's helped me a lot on caching and fixing, and looking at moving forwards. What's the best way to really improve the back end and make it so it's something that could scale to possibly millions of users. And that sort of thing. We have some very good directions we're going to take it. It can already scale like medium well. As we've seen, there's already been thousands of people accessing it, placing trades. We've had requests go between the browser and the server like every 1 or 2 seconds. So it already scales decently, but I mean really taking it to the next level. And then the front end, we have a new front end engineer. He's already provided some fantastic updates to the UI. For example, we can now toggle between the charts and the information page. The charts now auto zoom better. You can now see the support page on the top. The document. I think either the support page or the docs page. Both are going to be there by tomorrow. Just various enhancements. We're going to hire another engineer pretty soon. I think we're also looking for a UX designer who can help us design a nice way to present the tokenization stuff, like the reward systems and so on. And then it's just a matter of really getting it done. So we don't need a large team. We just need a very focused and skilled team to really push it forwards. After we raise funding, we're going to basically have a full-time team developing the exchange. There's also going to be people in the international entities who actually operate the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So my uncle's wife's husband says that crypto's a scam. Do you agree with that or not? This question keeps on popping up.
Having been in and out of crypto for 10 years, I would not say it's a scam. People laugh at any new technology that they don't understand. Yeah. And there are some scammy people in crypto. That doesn't make crypto scams. Similar to any technology can be misused by bad actors. That doesn't make the technology a scam. So crypto is literally a revolutionary technology. Most people here know this, but the way I see it is eventually every single asset that exists that's worth anything, and even worthless ones, are probably going to be represented by some form of crypto. For example, probably one day all stocks will be cryptos. Every form of currency is going to be a crypto. Every piece of real estate is going to be represented by some kind of a token. Just everything in the whole world is probably going to be tokenized at some point. I don't know how many years it's going to take. It might just take 10 years. It might take 100 years, but it's going to happen. So it's like, do you want to participate in that? Or do you want to work in some boring, stagnant technology that's going nowhere, where you're just literally like, I mean, this is just how I see. I'm not trying to sound depressing or trying to.
No, you're making.
I'm not trying to evangelize too much. This is just how I see it. So like, generally, you should work. Okay, I'm using the word "should" too much. Okay, but anyways, I would work in something that's both cutting edge and provides a ton of value in the future. And crypto is definitely something like that. I saw it early on, but it was also more immature. So although I did stock up on Bitcoins, I sold them at, halfway down the path to just holding them until now and stuff like that. Like I didn't get the whole picture back then, but now I'm making up for it. I'm making a good DEX.
I appreciate, I can't believe you just answered that question like just straight face. So kudos to you. Secondly, I think it does bring up a valid point though. What about like mindset? When you're starting a startup, and I've been in that situation, it is easy to have some like imposter syndrome or, some self-doubt, or there's other folks who, influence and say, this is a monumental undertaking. You're being irresponsible. There's a bunch of naysayers, right? And how do you block those people out in order to stay on task and be, as somebody said earlier, the Algo Kobe? Because Algo Kobe's got those blinders on and can stay focused. So
here's the thing. I have legitimately a very unfair advantage, which is that my dad, in his own right, he's very successful. He invented the game Snake. He has over 100 patents. He's at the very, very high end of the tech ladder before he retired. He also he has something called a Perkin medal, which is it's like what Silvio has, except in chemistry. It's the very top thing you can get in chemistry other than the Nobel Prize. So I've always looked up to that, and I always felt with myself, I have literally unlimited potential. I'm just unmotivated for some reason. So I kind of have this unfair advantage where I know what I'm capable of. I just haven't tapped into it for a lot of my life. Now, if you don't have that unfair advantage, you probably still could do anything. Like you could, I just decided I could do anything, for this arbitrary reason. But anybody could literally accomplish almost anything they want to if you just have a very firm dedication to the cause. You have to kind of make yourself like a zealot of your own cause, whatever that cause is. I mean, the way I see it from like a philosophical perspective, you only have so much time on earth. So why not pick something and just like hyper focus on it, almost just out of like enjoyment, like really what else you're going to do with your time. Like if you look at everything you can do, like you have to pick among all those options. So, yeah. I mean, this is what I decided to do. I wanted to do a really, really cool project that makes a big impact, something with a massive upside that could possibly even change the entire crypto industry. Because I think it would be just absolutely hilarious. All those people I used to argue with on Twitter about like Ethereum versus Algorand, if I can actually say, okay, Algorand better, plus I made this thing to prove it, and this literally brought in everyone and made me win the internet argument, just be hilarious. But anyway, I don't mean to sidetrack too much.
I mean, that would definitely be an Algo Kobe move. That's for sure.
So
yeah.
I'd be all about it. All right. Man, we just burned through like 50 minutes in no time. So
yeah, and I could probably just keep talking to him. I'm like, it's funny because before any type of talk, I'm always like, do I have to do this? Like, I'd rather just like code or
right.
Like look at like the price of lamp or something, whatever. But
yeah,
but then once I start talking, it like puts myself into like a good mood.
You like sold yourself.
Is there
on
a future for lamp? Does lamp have a future outside of?
On testnet, it definitely does. I don't know about other than that. Because of regulations, I can't make a mainnet lamp and then just promote it a ton because, but on testnet, yeah, definitely has a future. I've actually made probably like 20,000 testnet algos just from just pumping a lamp and then selling it at a high price. It's actually pretty hilarious. Probably nobody has as many testnet algos as I do. I'm just saying, I'm probably like the testnet algo king here.
So, whale there.
I don't know, maybe like the MyAlgo guys have like a million of them or something because they convinced the foundation to give them to them. But I mean, other than that kind of a thing, you know, I like legitimately earn my testnet algos.
The hard way. The hard way.
Yeah.
All right, Alex. The conversations with you always fly by. It's always a pleasure. This time we can't wait another 2 months or something before we do this again. Maybe Coop and I will have another co-hosted show and ask you back because it's been a pleasure and you're always gracious with your time. I know it's not your funnest thing. Like you're like, you got to psych yourself up to go talk to us, but then when you do, you get in the zone. So just remember that feeling. Yeah.
So I'm naturally more on the introverted side. So I kind of just keep to myself and just kind of dwell in my own head and, stuff like that. But yeah, lately I've been becoming more extroverted, kind of, cool. Needing to in order to do all the CEO types of things. But
we need you to speak to the public and you do a great job of it. So
thank you. For
sure. We're wishing you all the best. For everybody out there in AlgoFest land, I think we've got one more planned interview, Coop. And Coop, I don't even know if you know this one, but we might have a second one that kind of sneaks in there. So I'll fill everybody in here in just a little bit. Alex, have a great evening. I hope you can catch some more of the AlgoFest. Otherwise, catch the replays on Coop's channel over there. And we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alex.